Bonsoir. Oui. Bonsoir. Welcome for this second masterclass of our festival, and the masterclass we have been waiting for quite a long time. Je vais revenir en français. On a parlé beaucoup en anglais cet après-midi, hier aussi, parce qu'on a aussi des invités internationaux et c'est magnifique. Donc, on va faire certaines parties aussi en anglais. Cette masterclass, peut-être, je vais commencer à un endroit où Elene sait déjà où je vais aller, mais il y a des films, I will maybe switch to English. There are some films that are like changing direction of your life. And for me, when I came back from Canada, where I lived for some time, and I saw films, or a film by Elene, I thought, okay, if this is the young generation, and if this is the young generation in Switzerland, then I would like to go to work for them, and to be there, and to create new ways to encourage them to go in new directions. And so when I came to HEAD like 2 years ago, I really understood that Elene is an alum of HEAD, and so it was a real big pleasure for me. And since then, so it's already like 24 months or 26 or 28 months, I was dreaming of having Elene with us for a masterclass, but also for accompanying student films. And this double luck has happened now in this very new academic year. And Elene is accompanying 2 projects of diploma films of bachelor, and Elene is here for a masterclass, which will be moderated by Alice Riva, is a programmer and also producer. She works for Cinématographe in Lausanne, and also Grütli here in Geneva. And she has also been working a little bit for HEAD for some times. So I'm very happy she's also back to school. But we start right away with the help of Frédéric and of all the technicians here that help us to stream this live online, and welcome to the people online as well.
Merci beaucoup, Ed Genève. Nous venons de voir Father Bless Us, le premier film d'Elene Naveriani, ton premier film que tu as réalisé ici, à la Ed Genève, il y a quelques années, en 2013. Father Bless Us était un film d'atelier, tu étais en 2e année. Et je voulais commencer par son premier film, parce qu'évidemment, a tourné ici dans cette école, mais aussi parce que c'est pour moi la matrice. Ce film est quelque part la matrice sur laquelle ensuite tu as construit ton cinéma. Un cinéma que je considère comme féministe, intersectionnel, antiraciste, queer, bien sûr. Et ce film est aussi, d'ailleurs, on voit ces regards de Anna et Agnès, tes protagonistes que tu as mis en scène, pour raconter un mariage réinventé entre deux femmes. Et c'est aussi ton coming out en tant que personne queer. Donc c'est, je trouve, un très beau debout pour discuter ensemble, pour avoir ce temps d'échange avec Elene. Je suis vraiment ravie de pouvoir discuter avec toi. Je suis ton cinéma depuis les débuts et voilà, je suis une grande fan. Donc un extrait magnifique qui n'a pas besoin de mots. Le film est d'ailleurs sans dialogue. Et il y a la magie qui opère vraiment très forte. Maintenant, j'aimerais te poser tout de suite une question sur ton parcours de cinéma en tant que personne queer. Comment tu as construit finalement, en fait, comment, en étant une personne queer, comment cela a influencé ton cinéma et aussi tes choix esthétiques, ton parcours en général et tes débuts aussi.
Merci Anita, merci Alice. C'est aussi vraiment le retour dans cette école, c'est assez... Oui, c'est différent maintenant, mais c'est aussi ça donne beaucoup de joie en fait. Merci beaucoup. Et par rapport à comment j'ai construit le... Ok, now I'm going to switch in English. So, I think as you mentioned, it was a short film that I directed on a second year, and I think that was a kind of one of the first atelier that we had to choose, and we had to kind of make what we wanted to do and to find out basically what we wanted to say and just to basically tell our stories. And of course, like very often, like what we do, we just get back to ourselves and we tell the stories that is very personal. But also, like as someone who was away from home, and like there were a lot of questions. So for me, also question of identity, the language. Also, like it was not. I was not born to make films in a way. Like it was not something that my passion from the beginning. It was something that kind of like. Nice. It was something that also little by little I understood that maybe that was a place where I could really just share things that I was living with or I just wanted to transmit to others. And I think that Father Bless Us was really this big, I would say that kind of years of this search of who was I, or kind of the search of the identity, which I couldn't really talk about or even like share with others back in Georgia. There was something that it was impossible for me to just say something about that. And it was not about only queerness, it's about like, it's like everything that I lived and how I lived. So it was also one of the reasons why I left. And also, like that's where I also found out that cinema was giving me this, I don't know, image, and was giving me a chance to say something that I couldn't really face in front of the others. And basically, it's as you said, it was my kind of coming out. We could say that. It was something that I could show to everybody. I was not, this fear, this. I don't know, anguish of like showing yourself or just saying what you are and who you are. Somehow the films and the cinema and the Father Bless Us really helped me. Because when I screened it in front of like friends and people that I knew before, and they watched it and there was no question. So I didn't have to really talk about like things that I was hiding before. So I think that it's also the silence that, we see in a film, that's also something that what I carried all the time. I couldn't really like articulate, and I couldn't really give a words how all these years or like all this kind of the question of identity I was carrying. So I didn't need really to verbalize something. And also like what I found it interesting, and little by little in a work, what I do, I always try, and I tried also before that, finding the gesture instead of like finding the word. So basically, if I have something and I want to say something, I always think like how body will react and how body will just do the same thing without verbalizing and without the words. So I think that like to make it more short, it's I don't know like how I construct it, because I think this is slow, that kind of little by little in a process, like things came to the point where I am now. But I think back then it was really, for me, what was important, it's that to stay really faithful to what I wanted to say, and to keep this the core of the kind of political core of the story, and also to tell it in a way that was easy to understand for others and to communicate, because I wanted to do something, but I also knew that I wanted others to understand and kind of to have this communication and not to do just for myself.
Merci. J'ai commencé de manière un peu abrupte parce que j'avais vraiment envie que les images d'Elene commencent, voilà, que ça soit le cinéma qui ouvre. Je continue avec ton parcours maintenant, quand même. On va poser quelques dates et quelques titres. Peut-être que vous connaissez déjà bien son cinéma. En tout cas, Elene, ça fait plus de 10 ans qu'il tourne de films en Géorgie. Elle a fait des études, elle a fait des études à Tbilissi, d'abord en peinture, ensuite elle a été à Genève, des études plus théoriques, et ensuite elle est arrivée au cinéma, au département. Elene, tu racontes la Géorgie contemporaine et tu donnes la voix à des personnes qui sont souvent à la marge de la société, et tu racontes aussi souvent des personnes qui sont prises par des solitudes. Mais je trouve que c'est aussi un cinéma du réconfort, parce qu'il y a des communautés qui se créent, il y a des rencontres qui se font, et c'est très, voilà, ça réchauffe le cœur. Voilà, moi je trouve que Elene, c'est vraiment l'une des cinéastes les plus intéressantes vraiment aujourd'hui, et je pèse mes mots au niveau international, voilà. Dès que je peux, je présente son travail. Lorsqu'on a ouvert la salle au cinématographe, on l'a ouverte avec d'ailleurs Blackbird Blackbird Blackberry. Voilà, donc Elene, tu as réalisé plusieurs courts-métrages et 3 longs-métrages. Le premier, I Am a Truly Drop of Sun on Earth, avec ce magnifique titre qui est une citation de Frantz Fanon de Black Skin, White Masks, qui est tourné dans les rues peut-être les plus déshéritées de Tbilissi et qui a été sélectionné au Festival de Rotterdam. Ensuite, tu as réalisé Wet Sand, qui est un manifeste queer. En tout cas, il a été défini ainsi, tourné dans un village balnéaire géorgien. Il a été sélectionné à Locarno et il a même gagné le prix de meilleure interprétation masculine pour l'un des protagonistes, qui est d'ailleurs non professionnel. Et enfin, Blackbird Blackbird Blackberry, film qui date de 2024, Cannes 2023, sorti en salle 2024, Prix du Cinéma Suisse, et adaptation majestueuse d'un livre et d'un roman géorgien. On en parlera plus tard. Maintenant, j'aimerais qu'on aborde une question. Parfait, c'est l'autre page, c'est bon. Merci. Qu'on continue sur cet engagement qui est très fort, un engagement politique qui est présent dans tes films, en tout cas une dimension politique qui est forte. Et j'aimerais en fait qu'on regarde tout d'abord peut-être l'extrait numéro 2.
Aš cachées se taiguja.
Communautés, mais pas. Niemand geht ja unter die Apokalypse, der Martel Horcho.
ეს რა кай ხასიათზე ხარ მოხდა რა?
დღეს მოდიან სახლის სანახავად, იცოდი?
კარგია.
საღამოშვიდობის აირაკლი ოჯახის სიწმინდის დღე წელს გლობალური პანდემიის გამო დაწესებული შეზღუდვების ფონზე განსხვავებულად აღინიშნა წინა წლებისგან განსხვავებით, როდესაც ქუჩაში მსვლელობა ფეხით ეწყობოდა. სასულიერო პირებმა ჯანდაცვის სამინისტროს რეკომენდაციების გათვალისწინებით წელს ქალაქის ქუჩები ავტომობილით მოიარეს აწყურის ღვთისმშობლის ხატთან ერთად. დედაქალაქი აკურთხეს, აქვე გეტყვით, რომ ოჯახის სიწმინდის დღე ილია მეორემ 2014 წელს დააწესა და ეს დღე ყოველი წლის 17 მაისს აღინიშნება. საზეიმო წირვაზე კათოლიკოს პატრიარქმა ოჯახები დალოცა და დღევანდელი დღის მნიშვნელობაზე კიდევ ერთხელ ისაუბრა.
Il faut les sous-titres.
I can also make a sum up of the situation.
დონდეთ ერთი ვოკალი და მართლა ხوارჩობსა.
დღეს რა კაი ხასიათზე ხარ მოხდა რომ?
დღეს მოდიან სახლის სანახავად, იცოდი?
კარგია.
საღამოშვიდობის აირაკლი ოჯახის სიწმინდის დღე წელს გლობალური პანდემიის გამო დაწესებული შეზღუდვების ფონზე განსხვავებულად აღინიშნა წინა წლებისგან განსხვავებით, როდესაც ქუჩაში მსვლელობა ფეხით ეწყობოდა. სასულიერო პირებმა ჯანდაცვის სამინისტროს რეკომენდაციების გათვალისწინებით წელს ქალაქის ქუჩები ავტომობილით მოიარეს აწყურის ღვთისმშობლის ხატთან ერთად. დედაქალაქი აკურთხეს, აქვე გეტყვით, რომ ოჯახის სიწმინდის დღე ილია მეორემ 2014 წელს დააწესა და ეს დღე ყოველი წლის 17 მაისს აღინიშნება. საზეიმო წირვაზე კათოლიკოს პატრიარქმა ოჯახები დალოცა და დღევანდელი დღის მნიშვნელობაზე კიდევ ერთხელ ისაუბრა.
Ramčeli ožachebi, tchiseikos, Christianolikos, Monzuneikos, Sadas Sarzunoeba Cheshmarit.
Merci Frédéric. Donc c'est un extrait de Wet Sand, qui est donc le deuxième long métrage de Elene, ton deuxième long métrage. C'est le début du film, plus ou moins, enfin on est dans les premiers 10 minutes du film. Et j'aimerais que tu nous parles en fait de ton rapport entre engagement politique, création artistique. Là on voit un petit peu la situation de la Géorgie, mais tu peux en parler bien sûr bien mieux que moi.
It's kind of very long story, but I think that I would like to make to start at some point that basically way how I and we grew up, there was no way to be away of politics. And I don't mean like, everyday life, that it was something completely integrated in our everyday lives. So we would just, it was not possible, there was no possibility. Basically our games as a kids, we were playing we were like prime ministers and the members of parliament. And it was something that completely we were taken by this, which is, I think that it's wrong. Kids, they don't have to do that. We don't have to live in this kind of world where you just you want to play with dolls or I don't know, like cars or whatever, and you have to just interpret some like an assholes who are kind of just wanting to fuck you up. So I think that it was very organic for me to integrate this in a work in a films or stories that I tell, because I couldn't really imagine that this separation, because I think that it's not also me growing up in this very tense political and kind of social situation, but I think it's also everywhere. I think I really believe that we cannot really make this separation, because it's constantly reminding us where we are, what we do, and also it's how privileged we are today, where we are sitting now. This is really crazy, knowing that what is happening around us, and it's also super hard to have talk about everything. This is also impossible. It's impossible to you kind of have this I don't know, like the world is so like it goes like in a shit that even if I'm working on a film now, it's also hard to like say how I'm gonna talk about this, which part is like important, how I'm gonna kind of select or extract something that it's important to talk about. But I think that it's also interesting, and I would say that what helped me also I focused on something that was more personal. Because again, of course, the place where I grew up, it's something very personal for me. So I kind of try to concentrate around this, and this the politics also and the social context. Of course, it helps me to also to generalize and to just open up the questions and what is happening, like the sequence what we saw today and now. I think this is also the beginning of this fascism, what is happening today. So in today, like what is, especially in Georgia right now, this is when I watch this, I see that like how slowly we just arrived to situation what is happening today. This film is not possible to show it in Tbilisi, in Georgia right now, because you can go right away to prison. So basically things that were like a slowly brought, you know, okay, this is like a day of the I don't know, family, or, you know, we just like forbid this and that, and let's, you know, this like cutting of the funds of the culture, things that it feels painless and it feels like a small things, and if you are not really concerned, you can really easily let it go. I think that I thought about this because I'm concerned. People like who were concerned, they had some reaction, but a lot of people, they didn't give a shit. But now the people who didn't care about this, they are also like paying for that, not being like they didn't say anything and they stayed silent. So I think that also today in Switzerland, you know, there are like things that we think it's really not going well. So I think that it's our responsibility to be aware what's going on, because it's super, I mean, really possible that we're not going to be able to even make films like this in Switzerland. Maybe not directly like, but maybe I wouldn't be able, because it's the film that it's not spoken in a local language. It's the film that, you know, it's not so, you know, like popular. It's not well distributed. So, you know, the things like that, I think we have to be aware what's going on. And we don't have to give this responsibility to these people who are deciding for us. So I think that it's also, I'm saying to myself that being aware that we don't let them decide like what we want to do and produce, because the films that they want us produce, it's really like films that it's fun. I love fun films. Love, actually, it's one of my favorite films, but we cannot go through, you know, we don't, this is not the only thing that we can do. So I think that it's also, I wish, and we have to do something together, because otherwise they will take out also this, I mean, they will take away our voices. And I don't know if this question was that, but it's just for me inseparable, like what I do, that's like that's a politics, everyday life, it's this resistance and kind of survival.
Et vivre une partie en Suisse, puis filmer en Géorgie, prendre quelque part un recul envers ce pays, qu'est-ce que ça t'amène?
I think on one hand it gives me a freedom, because of course I'm extremely lucky and also privileged to be able to make films here so far, and it's something that I don't know, honestly, like I realized that it's been last 10 years that I live with the filmmaking. This is crazy. This is really something that it's I mean, I don't know, it's something, it's happening up there. So I'm really like grateful that I'm very well supported also in Switzerland, which is it's amazing. But what helps me also, and it gives me freedom, but also it gives me that this distance. It's difficult. I never found really an answer like what I always, it's weird, because for me it's this question of the home. Slowly, kind of, there is this line. I don't feel this anymore. I don't know what is my home. I don't know where I belong to. I mean, you belong to a place where you live, and you have people that you love, but also it's family, but it's also language. So it's a lot of things that it's very, I don't know, it's kind of blended today for me. But for the films, of course, this distance gave me this nostalgia and the need to talk about something that I left it behind. And also it gave me this possibility to be very courageous and kind of be more active. And I know that when I'm not there, and I know that I'm not there, and I'm kind of more secure, then I'm more safe, because I wouldn't be able to also produce the films what I do here if I were living in Georgia, because this is kind of also dangerous. So I think that distance also gives me this. Of course, it's like I'm seeing the things differently, the culture. This is all, of course, included, but mostly I would kind of be more practical. That it really helped me to. It sounds very. The kind of finding my place within this big world, you know, and in the world of the cinema. And I know that it's, and I know how much I care about home. So this is the way how I can communicate and how I can show my love that it's infinite, and also my hate that it's also infinite towards that place. So it's, I think that's what distance gave it to me.
Maintenant, je vous propose de regarder un autre extrait d'un autre long métrage d'Elene, donc ton premier long, Drop of Sun, I Am Truly Drop of Sun on Earth, qui d'ailleurs, en passant, a été réalisé grâce au prix Hans Wilsdorf. Donc après tes études, Elene, tu as gagné le prix et donc tu as pu te lancer dans ce projet qui est un projet, tu parlais de danger, je pense qu'avec une vraie prise de risque. C'est peut-être aussi ton projet le plus documentaire, mais on va en parler après. Et là, on va se retrouver avec les deux protagonistes du film, April et Jay. Et c'est environ le milieu du film, et on va en parler juste après. Merci Frédéric, avec les sous-titres.
That's the Empire State Building there. That's the Statue of Liberty there. And there's the Golden Gate Bridge there. And that's the White House there. So, can I stay at your house tonight?
No.
საქართველოს დროით 8 საათი შესრულდა. დედაქალაქში ტემპერატურა 31 გრადუსია. ახალ ამბებს ნინო ოდიშარი გაგაცნობთ. დღეს კიდევ ერთი მოკლული ქალი იპოვეს. შინაგან საქმეთა სამინისტრო აცხადებს, რომ გვამის იდენტობა ამ დრომდე არ დასტურდება და გამოძიება განზრახ კვლევის ფაქტზე მიმდინარეობს. წელს უკვე 25 შემთხვევას გამოეხმაურა პრეზიდენტი მარგველაშვილი, რომლის განცხადებითაც პარლამენტის დღევანდელი ხდომა ტრადიციის თემით გაიხსნება. ხდომას ასევე დაიწყებიან სასულიერო პირები, რომელთაც მიეცემათ საშუალება დააფიქსირონ ეკლესიის პოზიცია განვითარებულ მოვლენებთან დაკავშირებით. კავკასიასა და ცენტრალურ აზიაში ნატოს გენერალური მდივნის სპეციალური წარმომადგენლის ჯეიმს აპატურაისგან ინტერვიუში განაცხადა, მისი თქმის პირველი ეს იქნება მალობა ავღანეთში ნატოს წარმოებულ ოპერაციაში მონაწილეობა. ილექსი ღარიბაშვილმა ბათუმში სპირალურზე მშენებარე სასტუმრო და გასართობი კომპლექსი დაათვალიერა. პრემიერ-მინისტრის სასტუმრო კომპლექსზე მიმდინარე სარემონტო და სამშენებლო სამუშაოებს გაეწევა. ილექსი ღარიბაშვილმა ჟურნალისტებს განაცხადა, საჩხაროა, რომ უცხოეთში ყოფი ქართველი ბიზნესმენები დაბრუნდნენ და ქართული ინვესტიცია ხორციელდება.
Ayşen. Eteroyu çoğdu. Bilismiş musallık.
Merci. Est-ce que des personnes ont déjà vu le film, tout à ça? Oui, ok. Peut-être quelques mots pour contextualiser. Donc, on est à peu près au milieu du film. April est, entre autres, travailleuse du sexe, donc à Tbilissi, et Jay est venu chercher, est venu étudier. Sauf qu'il pensait aller en Georgia, USA, et finit en Géorgie. Ça peut arriver, en fait. Ça peut arriver. Ça paraît impossible, mais oui. Et donc là, il cherche de travailler comme il peut. Il a perdu son logement peu avant. Donc c'est vraiment des personnes dans une précarité extrême. C'est des personnes que Elene, tu as rencontrées autour d'un hôtel Radisson qui est au milieu de la ville qu'on voit. D'ailleurs, bon, là, c'est vrai que c'est un film en noir et blanc qui demande un peu de... voilà, on ne voyait pas tout à fait tous les détails, mais c'est pas grave. Vous avez apprécié. Pour moi, c'est même, je vois ça et je vois Pasolini. Bon, ça c'est, je pense très fort à Pasolini et voilà, ça m'émeut. Voilà, Elene, donc tu décides de filmer à cet endroit-là. C'est un endroit qui est aussi dangereux. C'est un endroit. Tu sens qu'il y a une urgence. Peut-être qu'on dira aussi que dans le film est tragiquement prémonitoire. Mais peut-être que je te laisse la parole pour que tu nous dises, tu racontes comment tu t'es dit c'est urgent que je filme là. J'ai terminé l'école, j'ai fait mes courts-métrages, maintenant je veux faire ce film.
Yes. So I think that also to get back to your last question, I think that was also one of the results of the distance. That when before I couldn't really go back often, so it's like once in a year I would go just for holidays. So and I think that after a few years when I went back, and this place, what you mentioned, this Radisson Hotel, it's in the middle of it's the center of the city. Which this Radisson, it used to be like during the Soviet times, it was this very nice touristic place where all this Soviet Union kind of country people, they would come and just like have fun. And after Georgia became independent, this place became it was a refugee housing, I mean kind of camp, I would say. And after there was this capitalism that really just entered super quickly and kind of rechanged all the system, it became the Radisson Blu. So it kind of symbolically also was like a very, it's kind of one place went through the three different systems. And what is interesting also, underneath you have underground, which also went through different stages. There was nice cinemas before. After everything kind of went, then during this 90s, that was really like the country was going through this bit kind of difficult times, there was nothing. It was just completely like emptied out. And when they built the Radisson, somehow they forgot that this world existed underneath, you know, and this underground stayed underground. And that's where, when one day I just walked by, I just saw the world that was completely hidden. Something that I wouldn't imagine that the city that I grew up that was existing, something like that. So it kind of took a long time to kind of find the place and right place to be with them, to be with these people and to understand them, and also to find the right place for me how to film this story that was not really belonging to me. Because it was, I was not, of course, directly concerned, you know, also like I was really trying, and I was thinking about this, like how to approach and how you keep this distance and also be close to people that, and film them. It's very delicate. And I think that today when I'm thinking about this, I don't know if I would be able to do the same thing. It was something kind of this, it was not only physical risk for me and for my crew, but also like ethically, it's kind of interesting, like if I would be able to go so far, you know. And I think there was this urgency, and I'm very happy that I made this film, not because of myself, but because of its historically. I mean, also like watching this sequence, it's somehow like, that's also the power of cinema, that you kind of, I don't know, you kind of make a capsule of the moment of the history, and it stays there, and and you cannot touch it anymore. So I think that's also like a beautiful and kind of like a responsibility what we have when we make stories, that it's not changeable. So what you show, what you film, how you kind of look it, that's it, and that's what is going to be shown. So it's, I was insisting, I refused to be financed like in a proper way. When I got this Wilsdorf, which was amazing, come on, this is also something that it's, you know, I don't know, it helped me so much. And of course, like I had to write, and you need to write, there was a treatment and screenplay and all the thing, you know. And when I was there, I said, like, I cannot really wait for 2, 3, 4 years to make this story. I cannot, because in a year, even in 6 months, I don't know that this place is going to exist. So I had to find a way how to do it. So I worked with the production, and I just told to my producer that, please let me do it. I don't want to apply. I don't want to apply to these funds, because I know that I'm not ready officially, because nobody would give me money, because there was just this very kind of treatment that even, hard to also like present to someone. But there was some kind of idea, and I knew that, I kind of thought that I knew what I was doing, which kind of, it was in one hand true, but in the other hand not really. And so I was lucky that also, and it's a question of the trust, and my producer, with whom I'm working now, the production company Alva Film, the Brita told me, okay, just go and do it. And I think we just, this Wilsdorf money went in the production, which was also very small in a way of also the choice of the black and white, also choice of the light, the choice of everything was like this. We had to think a lot about economy, how we wanted to tell this story. And also it was important that somehow the balancing also this, what is in front of the camera and who is behind the camera, and also like how much you spend, and how it's also kind of sick sometimes that you can have a lot of money and you film something that it's, I don't know, sometimes you don't need a lot of money to film things, it felt also, I don't know, it's somehow this equilibrium or this balance between this behind of camera people and in front of the camera people, we kind of managed it more or less. And of course, like the crew we were not paid, and we were really trying to kind of just, I don't know, respect also time with the community, with the sex workers, also Nigerian, the immigrants, and somehow and also what was important for me, that they wanted to do this. and they agreed to do it with not agreeing, of course. Like it was very, very like they knew what we were doing, but they wanted to tell this story, and that was also something that gave me this strength and also this somehow the responsibility. And I found my place because they told me that we wanted you tell this story. We wanted, this is not lost, and we are somehow like this. It stays in a history somehow, and it stays on image, and. It was very risky because, in terms of the locations, permissions, also it was kind of I don't know how we did it really. It was super. I guess because we were well organized, we knew what we were doing. We had kind of more or less the schedule, but was also improvised. And I think that every person in a crew, they will tell different stories because I think it also was very messy. I knew things, but I didn't know a lot of stuff. So I had an ideas, but at some point I would just stand kind of on a set and be like completely lost. And also like I think it's important, and I realized that you don't know things at the beginning, and it's not possible that you know everything. And you are like a filmmaker who is just like a completely confident and saying like you know what you want to film, how you want to film. I think this is all this also this patriarchal bullshit that we have to be like you cannot allow yourself to just to ask the question. And I think that this image also what I created for myself also made me suffer so much because I was proving myself and I didn't want to show others that. There were moments that I was not really certain what I wanted to film and how I wanted to film. But again, I think that the crew that I had next to me, they are amazing. They are really like a family that it's, and they helped me to say, come on, seriously, we are here together and it's okay that you don't know some stuff. So I think that also like it's not only about knowing what you want to film, but I think we learn also how to be on the set. This is another world. This is the world that it's like nobody is telling us how to do it. Somehow like you stand there, you have, 10, 5, 20 people, and you're supposed to know how to manage this. And really, no, it's not like that. It's you need to be, it requires a lot of things. And I think that I wish that there is this really atelier kind of work that we do this, that it's question of you need to be very, calmness. Also, it's kind of physical, how you have to kind of hold yourself. It's also like things are like not going right way. It's a patience. It's the communication. There's so many things, and this comes slowly. And if you cannot do this right away, that's okay. But I think it's important that you stay kind of open with the people around you, and you don't fear about this this image of the filmmaker, because there is this image. It's kind of really, it's created by we know by whom. So, and so I think that film, The Drop of Sun, for me was just this big, very intense and important lesson, and also not only for me, but also like knowing that whatever you film, it's like this, you need to be very careful, because it's, and especially if you work with people that they are not professional actors, or they are not it's the first time they are in front of the camera, it's also, you need to have very different approach. You cannot ask the same, you cannot tell them to do the same, you cannot, it's kind of, there is different, it's. I mean, you need to know, like, actor. It's an actor. It also, of course, there is always like some things that you have to consider. But they need to rest. They have like a different. They don't have the same discipline. So I think that was all this. Everything was so complicated in one hand in this film that it was super complex kind of work to do, and also like there were people that they just after the set they would go back to their lives. So it's also something that knowing and understanding that people that you work with, they also have their stories, they have their lives behind, and it's also they're not coming there just only for you. It's also somehow it was important to understand this, that of course you're making film. Of course, you are all together there for some that's that's the, I don't know, direction, but it's also you don't have a right to ask for everything. And before you ask, you need to discuss, you need to talk, you need to kind of know like where's the limits. And I think that as much you communicate with your crew, with your actors, with people around you, it's things are getting much easier. And yeah, basically you are building something that it's, you know, you feel more confident.
Je voudrais rebondir sur une chose que tu as dite. Tu as cité Alva Film. Et d'ailleurs, quand je parlais, par exemple, voilà, que tu as accompagné le long de ces années, et petit à petit, tu as formé ta famille du cinéma, ta communauté du cinéma. Et on a commencé avec Father Bless Us, donc je parlais de matrice de ton cinéma. Par exemple, dans ce film-là, la chef opératrice du film est la chef opératrice qui a filmé ensuite tous tes films, qui a filmé Blackbird Blackbird Blackberry, Agnès Pacdosi, qui était à l'époque étudiante aussi à Berlin. Voilà, il y avait Philippe Champi, par exemple, qui a mixé Father Bless Us et qui, depuis, voilà, t'accompagne également. Et je trouve que c'est très beau. Et je trouve que, voilà, lorsqu'on est étudiante en cinéma, peut-être qu'on ne se dit pas, dans 10 ans, je travaillerai encore avec ces personnes, mais en fait, les personnes avec qui on travaille aujourd'hui, voilà, peut-être que vont nous accompagner encore pendant des années, et puis c'est peut-être en école de cinéma qu'on crée en fait sa famille qui nous accompagne. Et il y a vraiment un soin aussi que porte Elene à tous ses collaborateurs, collaboratrices. Alors j'étais à la première de Wet Sand au festival de Locarno. Alors généralement, la cinéaste est accompagnée par exemple du chef opérateur, opératrice, monteur, monteuse, évidemment des protagonistes. Alors à cette première, il y avait tout le monde. Il y avait les personnes qui s'occupaient du maquillage, il y avait vraiment tout le monde. C'était toute la scène remplie. Elles étaient venues de Géorgie pour la première parce que Elene les a invitées. Et c'était une magnifique première, très, très émouvante. Et une autre chose aussi que je voudrais ajouter, parce que je ne suis pas sûre qu'on arrivera à traiter le 4e chapitre, parce qu'on a 4 grands chapitres, et le dernier, donc le cinéma comme communauté. Donc je vais juste dire un mot maintenant, parce qu'effectivement il nous reste pas assez de temps pour sûrement traiter le cinéma comme communauté, comme famille. Elene, à la suite de ce film, donc, tu as travaillé avec 2 personnages secondaires de ce film pour écrire un court-métrage qui s'appelle Red Ants Bite, qui a ensuite eu une très belle carrière. Mais en fait, tu as travaillé avec ces 2 protagonistes pour raconter une histoire. Voilà, donc je te laisse peut-être dire un mot. Et donc tes collaborateurs, collaboratrices, les personnes avec qui tu travailles, elles peuvent tout d'un coup participer à l'écriture, ou alors la protagoniste de Wet Sand, la protagoniste de Blackbird était déjà d'un Wet Sand. Enfin voilà, il y a beaucoup de liens et j'ai eu tellement de plaisir à revoir tes films, Elene, et à voir aussi tous ces liens en fait et tout le cheminement, parce que chaque film est un univers vraiment très fort. Elene, voilà, construit un univers très très fort avec une écriture. Bon, on va parler d'écriture dans un instant. Donc, je t'ai posé la question, Red.
Basically, like to make it short, for the drop of sun, I mean, the main character, while we were with the editing film, he passed away. Because I mean that's actually why I said that I'm very happy in one hand, and I think it's important work that if I would postpone this, you know, I think that he wouldn't exist also in a story. So I think that it's this work. It became kind of I don't know. It's painful because also two characters in a film they were during the editing they died. And they died because, like, again, like what film talks about, that was a proof that it was about the racism, it was about the homophobia. So basically, something that was just the film somehow became too real, and it became reality very, very quickly. And of course, it's like it took some time to, well, whatever film came out, that's another story. And to another Nigerians with whom I worked on A Drop of Sun, at some point they asked me to, because we kept contact, we were friends, and they asked me to tell the story of Daniel, the main character, saying like, why don't we make a film about this story, what happened to her? And I just proposed them, and I said, well, why don't you write something, you know, and we can just make this writing together. You just propose something, I can just rewrite, you know, somehow to co-write the story together, that it's also kind of, that it's not only, again, kind of something that I was feeling not very right, somehow, that it's not only me who is seeing this story, and that I was just not observant, but also people who were from inside, they wanted to do something and tell something about this. And we worked quite some time. So again, like my production company, Alba Film, they were saying, they really supported me. They said, why not, let's do that. I mean, we went through some financing, and so G and Donald, they wrote the screenplay with me, or I wrote with them, and it was crazy messy shooting. It was really messy, because it's again like you work with people, you work with the non-professionals, they have their life, and you have like schedule, you start at 6, and I'm sorry, it's not working like that always, and it again depends with whom you work. So it's like there is like, it's always like considering what you are asking from whom is very important, because again, these people worked, these people have their life, so you start at 6, it's not always working. So it was kind of like this very messy like a shooting, but in the end we managed. And I think what was also beautiful and important, that they told the story they wanted to tell. Of course, at some point I had to edit, I had to change things, and you know, that's again, like I cannot say that it's they made the film, but we made it together, which was also very important for me to, that was again kind of collaboration, and again like involving people, that in what you said, this family and this continuation, because I think each project brings this some kind of, I don't know, treasure that you want to keep it and you don't want to let it go. And as you said, like my DOP and Philippe, like and it's also my production company. I think this is safety that we need in this, also in this world and also in this industry, because if you don't have it, it's very hard to work and very hard to survive. And I'm not gonna say that it's like it's a beautiful world. It's not. It's tough. It's really tough to do this. But I think it makes it easier when you have kind of people around you who are supporting you, and somehow like you are open to take some things that maybe before you didn't want, but somehow it's a collaborative work. It's not the work of one person. It's really everyone, like everybody really has the meaning to be there, and it's important that we are also listening to each other, and that's also this continuation. It's a family building that in the chaos and this craziness, you create also this safety, and you choose the family with whom you want to work. So I think that's also like how I want to continue and what I'm doing till now.
J'aimerais maintenant qu'on parle d'écriture, parce que je suis toujours impressionnée par le grand soin de l'écriture que Elene, que tu portes dans tes films. Écriture au pluriel, et je propose qu'on commence par Blackbird et ensuite on parle de Wet Sand. Donc Blackbird, avec Blackbird, elle a gagné donc le meilleur film suisse, mais également le meilleur scénario et le meilleur montage qui est également évidemment de l'écriture. C'est un film qui est adapté de ce livre-là, de Tamta Melashvili, qui est d'ailleurs traduit en français, Merle Mur. Ça peut être hyper intéressant de le lire et de regarder le film si vous n'avez pas encore vu Blackbird. Je ne vais pas pitcher Blackbird, on regarde en toute vitesse la bande-annonce. Yes, merci Frédéric.
სულ მოკუჭება მარტოს მომხედა.
თუ მარტო ვარ. ჩემთვის ვარ.
ჩვენ ის მაინც ვიცით როგორია კაცის სიყვარული.
ისიც გადაეცი გათხოვებას და ყლეს რომ ბედნიერება მოქონდეს, ბევრი ქალიეული და ბედნიერი. არა შემომხედოს ერთი ვინ არის ბედნიერი?
წლევანდელია? ცოტა ჩამტყეულია. ხანძარი არ გაჩნდეს.
ეს კინაღამ მოვკვდე. დინარეში კინაღამ ჩავარდე. არნანობ, იცი რა ლამაზი შაშვი დავინახე. სუნთქვა შემიკრა. გამახვიცა. გამომაცოცხლა. მოვეფერე. ისეთ შენი 48 წლის ქალიშვილო. რაზე მღერია?
სიყვარულზე თავისუფლებას.
იცით ირგვლივ რამდენი სილამაზეა. არტო მინდა ვიყო. იმას ვაკეთებდე რაც მინდა. როგორც მინდა. სადაც მინდა.
Faudrait une fois aussi prendre entendre parler des musiques, des films d'Elene, de comment elle utilise la musique. Franchement, ça serait génial, mais je pense qu'on n'aura pas le temps. Donc, Blackbird, une adaptation. Blackbird qui donc a pu être financé. Donc, on parlait avec Anita pour préparer ce masterclass et Anita me disait les films d'Elene me touchent aussi parce qu'ils sont sans compromis en fait, parce que Elene veut raconter cette histoire de cette femme de 48 ans qui découvre le désir, la passion sexuelle, etc. Et c'est vrai que voilà, Elene arrive à financer ses films et je suis d'accord avec Anita, c'est merveilleux. Et j'aimerais que tu nous parles à la fois peut-être de voilà, comment ton écriture, mais aussi le financement, la production de ce film-là, la possibilité de le faire au niveau de l'argent, money.
I think that's already so wrong that we have to think about the age of the character. Honestly, this is so not right. No, it's not possible, really. I think that it's about the compromise. It's not about the question. It's about the collaboration. You don't compromise like, changing something like that. This is not. This is basically doing something what, of course, the system wants to do, and you don't change. I mean, it means that like we always repeating the same stories. So we don't want to repeat the same stories. We want to tell the stories that exactly it's necessary and it's important to tell. And I would say that in one hand, of course, you don't make compromise, but you collaborate. And you collaborate in a way with the team that you work with. And it's not about collaboration, about kind of becoming kind of opportunist. It's about kind of, if there is something to change, if there is something to, to adapt, it's again like when you're together, you can make it. And it's because I want like that, sometimes it doesn't work because you need to change some things. So you need to listen because maybe something that you want is just impossible to do in this moment. So basically you do the kind of counter work it becomes very rigid. I think flexibility is important. And the compromise, no, but you need to be very flexible when you work in films. And this flexibility, it's very pleasant also for everyone. Because that's the way how kind of it has to be, even though it's super difficult to do this job or work, it also has to be very pleasant. And I think that it's to get back to this writing. I think that of course, like the novel really inspired me, and it's also something very different compared to original screenplay, which you start everything from the scratch and you kind of build and sculpt a story that it's, I don't know, you have an idea and this idea can be like extremely inspiring, but in the end you cannot do anything out of it because it's just an idea and there is no character, there is no like, you cannot really give a flash to to this idea. So which is also happening. Some stories and some ideas and some of the projects, they also die out, which is also normal. But of course, like in that case with Blackbird, it's there are big things was that it was there. So you have like a written character with the inner voice. Basically, it's a monologue of hetero. So of course, like you already have like a huge. Basically, you understand the character, and what you have to do, you have to basically create an image around, and you have to kind of tell the story in present, and you have to kind of choose what is interesting. Kind of, it basically like was very nice selective work, this part or that part, or which is the nice part of from the past that we want to keep it in a story, and it was very different process of the writing. I mean, not to compare to others. Which Drop of Sun, it was completely different because it's also like it was more improvised. It was also with people on the set, also with the characters with the team members. Okay, how to do this, how to make it work. So in Wet Sand, it's also very different. Also, it's like I mean, it was most written kind of. I mean, of course, like it's for me was very. I always also thought, and I think it's interesting, when I was in a school, I always thought that screenplaying, kind of writing something, was kind of making this limit. You were limited, or they wanted, or like we were in a box, so you don't have a place for interpret, kind of like make things like a better, because if you write this kind of story, then you are blocked in there, So I always thought that I had this time in a school that why not to improvise, And in the end, you understand that as much you know about your story. So we have 10 minutes. I get it.
We just have questions.
Just I finish. So it's basically also writing. It's important to know and to understand that it gives you the freedom. As much you know about your project, as much as, I mean, you write it, of course, depends on we're talking about, there are different kind of stories, different kind of writings, but it's also in a fiction, if you know what you're doing, you can do everything afterwards, because there is a core, and like following this core, you're not gonna get lost, And again, like on a set, what I said, that it's kind of being grounded, it's very important. And you are grounded when you know what you want, but again, it doesn't mean that you cannot kind of ask the questions and be free. So somehow, like writing, it's also very important and beautiful process, and it's also very good exercise and a document between you and the team, between you and the production. It's something that it's a communication, and as clear you are, it's kind of things go smoother and smoother. And of course, for financing. This is and you need to have some solid kind of document that people say like, okay, let's give it money, because without this, sometimes it just doesn't work.
Nous avons 10 minutes avec, où sont les questions?
10 minutes sans.
D'accord. Great. Du coup, est-ce que je... Oui. Bon, on va quand même regarder maintenant l'extrait. Je pense que du coup, ça sera le dernier de Wet Sand. Wet Sand, donc, qui est un drame social et queer et qui a aussi d'autres genres. C'est une chose que je trouve aussi très belle, c'est la richesse de genres que tu as mêlé pour écrire ce film, que tu as écrit avec ton frère. Donc il y a, alors je me suis bien noté tous les genres. Alors pour moi, c'est un film mystère et film noir. Hein. Ensuite, western intimiste, avec l'arrivée de Moé, si vous connaissez le film. Tragédie sociale, film queer. Enfin, bref, il y a beaucoup de choses. Le film est aussi très, 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 très bien écrit. On vous propose de voir un extrait qui est aussi drôle, parce que le cinéma d'Elene, ton cinéma, il est aussi très drôle. Il n'y en a pas que tragédie, blabla. Il y a aussi beaucoup de... Voilà, on rigole aussi. On rigole aussi. Puis là, c'est l'arrivée du policier. On va rigoler un petit peu. Allez.
დიდი ხანი აქ ხარ?
ვიზია. მე ალექსი ვარ.
კუდრებს ქუჩაში ხშირად ტოვებთ ხოლმე?
ბოდიში მინდა მოგიხადო უხერხული სიტუაციისთვის, ასეთი რამ ჯერ არ მოგსურვია. შეიძლება სიგარეტი არ ვიღო. ან ბევრს ვეწეოდი სანამ აქად მომიყვანდნენ.
არ ხარ აქაური?
თბილისელი ვარ. მალე მოვშორდები აქაურობას დამღალის უკვე.
არ მოგწონს აქ?
იცი რა, პატარა არის აქაურობა. გონი მოვწონო.
და შენ?
მე? არ მე მაგისნაირ ქალები არ მწონს. ფლეშკაზე ამბობენ, რომ სხვის ხეულში დაიბადა. მოხდები.
ვერა, ვერ ვხვდები.
J'aime beaucoup ce film aussi parce qu'il y a une lueur d'espoir à la fin. Voilà, je ne vais pas vous en dire plus quand même parce que je vous invite vraiment à le regarder. Un esprit aussi émancipateur. Et je voulais dire une autre chose sur ce film et sur tes autres films, Elene, c'est que tes films sont souvent des histoires d'amour. Je sais que je t'ai déjà posé cette question. C'est des histoires, en tout cas souvent romantiques, qui portent voilà, ce côté-là. Et je trouve que c'est magnifique. Est-ce que tu veux peut-être nous dire un mot sur cela quand tu écris Je trouve ça beau.
Well, I think that I just realized that what I'm writing now, there is no love story, so it's super hard for me to do it. So I'm always like kind of putting this, and there of course there is like so many different kind of love stories, you know. But I have to find one of them in order to make the story work, because I think it's just not working for me without it. And I think that it sounds very like, I don't know, but I really believe also that the films and what I do and how I want to do it, how I want to tell the stories, what you said about this hope, I think it's important for me to, in this hard world, also to give this hope. But this hope, it's kind of something that what I wish. It's not realistic. It's sometimes I don't believe that it really can really happen, but at least to open up something, open up this door that there is a possibility. And I think that for me also, telling the stories, it's this possibility of something beyond what we live in, what we are surrounded every day. And of course, like for me, love is also one of the strongest force to break through something. And again, like there are plenty of different loves, so I think that I would love to explore all of them, and just and I think it's also it's easier for me to somehow to imagine somebody loves someone, or I don't know, their friends, and they have this kind of love story. I don't know, somehow like it for me, things are. I always feel that if there is this feeling, things can get better. So maybe because of that.
Je trouve que cette lueur d'espoir qui fait du bien, le monde va mal, et cette lueur d'espoir fait du bien. Je te félicite vraiment, Elene, de la garder là, allumée. Je pense que c'est le moment du coup d'ouvrir aux questions. C'est le moment d'ouvrir aux questions. Donc, comment on fait? Vous levez la main, je vous passe le micro. Oui, merci. Ça marche. On a une question tout devant.
Et merci infiniment pour ce voyage à l'intérieur, mais aussi dans ton cinéma. Merci beaucoup, Alice.
Merci Anita.
Merci pour ta confiance. Et maintenant, à vous, on peut prendre quelques questions, puis après, on passera à travers ce mur. Voilà.
So, thank you for this inspiring and very nice talk. And I would like to go a bit backwards from the beginning, because, well, I must say that I'm also from Georgia, and even today, like, everything started with fine arts, and even like many years ago, you were studying fine arts, and you were part of the performance about which, like, even today, whole Georgia is speaking, and for me it was very inspiring and very important. And I just wanted to add that when you were back in Georgia, you were also very loud. And thank you for that. And like the question is, like, even today, if you remember, like, what is the role of fine arts for you right now?
I think that in general, well, how I see any kind of art, I think it's very important to reflect on the times we live in. But I think it's getting even more and more, it's getting harder and harder, because the times that we live in, it's very complex. I think it always was, but today it's very, I don't know, it's huge, it's massive. So I don't know how you can kind of, again, like choosing where to stand. But I think that work of, fine arts or the cinema or music, and for me, it's really like a reflection on the times we live in, and it's some kind of, it's like archive. And I think it's also what we saw today. It's not, I'm not watching like my works. I watched the kind of, I don't know, this development also for politically what happened, what is happening today. It was not just, it didn't drop. Basically, you're archiving something. And I think that for me, art is about this archive, that it's kind of, you can dig it back and you watch it, or you see it, you listen it, and it somehow it brings back to times that it was created, but it also kind of corresponds to these times that you live in. I don't know.
Thank you very much. Another question, en français, en anglais? Yes? No? It's okay. Tatiana? No? Questions at the moment? Yasmin? No?
Thank you. I wanted to know, was it difficult to distribute a movie where there's queer subjects in it, or where the focus is more on queer subjects? Because this is the type of story I would love to tell too, and this has always been in the back of my mind. If it's difficult to have a space, find a space to share stories like these.
Thanks for a question. It's really hard to answer because it's. I think that it's also distribution. It's somehow very. I think it's very complex. It has like a. I don't know. It's also kind of another chapter of the when you make films. This is something it's opening up that it's kind of Pandora's box. You don't know how it works, and I think that with the kind of more the films, let's say like queer films. I mean, there is today I think that there are a lot of festivals, queer festivals, which is I think that it exists, and they are all really a lot amazing festivals. Which is basically films are they are screened there, and it's of course you have an audience, but in kind of more this, let's say, how can I call that festivals? I don't know, this fancy, just how you call them? I don't know. It's for example, if we take the Cannes, for example, I think it has like a very very different. Kind of content, it has different selection, and I think that they always want to have a queer stories, but it also depends who makes it. I just say it's somehow like I would say that not to think about this, because this is not really, in one hand, not the job of the filmmakers to think about it, and really do something that it's important for you to do, because. To believe in it, that it's important to tell these stories, because without that stories, just it has to be told. So I would say that just do what you really want to do, and I'm sure that there is always someone who is gonna watch it and also distribute it. I don't know how to answer otherwise, really.
Ça s'appelle les festivals de série A. C'est pas génial, mais ça s'appelle comme ça.
So, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
For this wonderful talk.